So today we have a Shark Ion robot vacuum, and this vacuum cleaner is given a fault that the bin is not in place. So we'll open up and take a look at it. This belongs to a friend at work. It's their daughter's. I believe this was an item that was replaced and they didn't ask for it to be returned. So just trying to get it working so it doesn't end up in the landfill and they can actually get some use out of it. I have downloaded this app and connected this off camera to save time, and I got to say it did work flawlessly. The app loaded and it connected all seamlessly. Just want to see if I can show here what kind of fault we're getting. Alright, our Wi-Fi is connected now. I chose the name Steve McLean. Let's see what Steve's saying here. If we go to clean or just dock, and it tries and it gives us a fault. If we give it just a minute, not only the blinking error light here, we also get the message that says my dustbin is not installed. And of course this dustbin is installed and installed correctly. Nothing hindered going forward to press the switch here, and the switch is moving free and acting normal. This on the left is just a bumper. This on the right is actually a push switch. So while I'm pressing the button in as hard as I can, let's see what it'll do, and it still gives a fault. And try again. This time saying, hey, go clean, and no. Definitely thanks to switches not being pressed. So more than likely we're going to have to tear into this a good ways to get to that switch. This could be a simple fix, but it might be difficult to get to. Flip it over and look here. We do see our little charging pads. The roller does pop off easy, the little brush roller. Take this out and no issues there. Turns free. The wheels turn free. I've checked both of these a minute ago. Where that switch is located, I would imagine you're going to have to split the halves, the top and bottom halves. I'm going to start off taking this T15 Torx bit and take off one of these drive motors. I'm thinking if I got to split it, I got to take these off anyway. I'm not 100% sure on that. It just looks like I do. Magnetize my bit a little better. It's getting weak. There we go. But yeah, I feel like we got to lift this up anyway, and I might be able to see the switch if I lift this up. I'm not sure. So if I can find that bin switch. And man, I tell you, that cable is short. I don't know if you can really tell on camera. There's almost no way to get your hands in there to unplug it. Kind of unusual. I can't get to the bin switch. I believe I can feel what is the on-off switch over here, but I can't get to the push button for the bin switch. And I'm pretty sure the little cover under this charging pad is not going to help. I'm going to go ahead and remove the battery before we get too far. Has a little catch like so to release, and that comes out easily. Now I'm going to take a T8 Torx bit and just pop this little cover that's on top of this charging pad, and it's probably not going to give me access, but I just want to check really quickly here. Just a small triangular panel there, and of course as you can see our switch is definitely behind the split of the upper and lower halves. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this cable for the actual right side drive wheel and barely get my fingers on it. I'll give you a better view here. You can barely get your hands on it. I'm going to see if I can lengthen that cable up possibly when we go back together, but drop one of the screws here. Yeah, it goes right there. Alright, put it in my tray. Definitely has gear reduction, and a little bit surprising, but the motors are kind of like a servo. They're DC and they do have a feedback, so the control board does know the position of the tires. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can lengthen that up if it's any slack in there. I'm also going to take the left drive wheel off the same way, and we'll be right back. Alright, with the left drive wheel off, it feels fine also, and I think these sensors can stay. I do want to show you here the the cable difference. I don't know if that's just an unusual thing or they're all that way. We're probably going to have to take this front bumper off and then split it. Those look like T8 as well. 5 screws here. Let's see. Yeah, that unsnaps pretty easy. That just slides right off. Neat. Well, that was much easier than I expected. So we have our switch here, which will be on our right side and our left side, and part of the little flexure for the spring for the bumper there, as well as on top has some also. Pretty cool. I believe these little brushes can stay, and probably the roller wheel can stay, but we'll find out here. Just going to take the rest of these T15 screws out. There's one that is hiding under the brush. There was not one in the battery tray, but the door just had that Phillips on it, but there was one hiding under that brush. Got these two up here on the front. Yep, that's 5 total after the wheels have been removed. And that's the one right there that'll get you if you don't look for it. And will this separate? Oh, surprisingly very easily. Yep, we do have one cable on the top, and they did give plenty of length here, so that's awesome. So it goes around here. Got some, I'm assuming, a sensor here, but I do know we have the panel, the push button indicator panel on the top as well. So really was not that bad to get into. Here's our little switchboard right here. This is what we're after, and I was hoping it was just unplugged or not plugged in correctly, but it does look to be plugged in, and the wires look like they're in good shape. And this is our on-off switch on the side that I could see with the wheel removed. If you ever need to get to that for any reason, it's there. Yeah, the button feels really good, and it's going to be a very simple design, so I'm going to unplug it. We'll look at it a little bit closer. So this little switchboard has the bend switch as well as the little infrared detector. I do see some conformal coating on the pins. And this little boot here just pulls off. It just fits on the board like so. And that's our little contact pads, and nothing's obvious. I'm going to fast forward through some of this. I'm just going through and making sure none of the wires are pinched or broken, that nothing on the board is showing corrosion or possible bad connection on the board side. I don't really see anything obvious. Everything looks good. So let's take a closer look at the switch. We do see switch, ground, out, and VCC. Let's bring over a meter. I got the one with the fine leads to get on here and try to poke through this conformal coating, but I might just go through the pins on the back. It looks like the traces are going up to switch and ground, but on continuity mode I can't get anything. Let's take this boot off. It does look like it's a little bit of coating on these pads, on the contact pads. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I don't know if some of the conformal coating got on there or that's just simply like a crusted over flux. We probably need to clean that. Now my probes are making a good contact here from the switch pin to that part of the pad and then go to ground. And I'm actually getting it through the conformal coating, so that's good. Just a little bit of effort there. But yeah, that's definitely it. So I'm going to clean this up and we'll see if it's any better. I'm going to bring over some alcohol and just a swab to start with, and let's just see if this will clean off that film. See nothing obvious, but it is clear after all. Kind of a build up. Also make sure none got on the little rubber resistive pad here for the push button. So if I take my meter and go across this little pad, I'm getting into high Ks, and I really wasn't expecting to get that. I was thinking I should be in the lower K, maybe even into the hundreds of ohms on these. And I know the more pressure you put, the lower reading we can get, but I'm having a really hard time here even getting into the 10K range. So I might have to clean that up some more. I don't have one just like it to compare to, but I do have a similar item from a Fluke meter. It's just a similar contact pad. Smaller diameter than the bend switch, but we can at least see how it compares. We in the very low K into the hundreds. I think I seen it get as low as 700 ohms. I think my hunch was right. We should be into the low kilo ohms, which after cleaning this one up again, it is doing better. That is around 1K, and the closer I get on the pad, obviously the lower I get. I got down to 700 ohms. So now I have it plugged back in, and I'm getting about 14K. So that's reading back through the board. It's probably a pull-up resistor on that IO pin. And if I just stick this boot back up here, put a little pressure, yeah, I'm getting, I can get down to about a kilo ohm, even a little lower. So let's see what the Fluke button will do on top of it. Yeah, I get into the hundreds, yeah. Yeah, down as low as below 200 ohms range. So they may be designed a little differently, but at least I got this one below 1K. I might clean it up just one more time and we'll put it back together. So back now, just putting this together, just lining the 4 little tips up with the holes, and it sits in there flush like so. Take my meter now and put on these pins. Get my meter over so you can see it. Yeah, 14K, and then can we get below a K? We'll push it right at it. Yeah, we can get down to 600 ohms, 500 ohms. Yeah, I think, yeah, I even saw 300 ohms. So it definitely had some buildup or some coating that got on this switch. Being clear made it kind of hard to find, but probably easier than it showed on camera. I'm going to go ahead and reassemble, and I did lengthen up this wire to this right wheel assembly, so I can reach in there pretty easy and plug it up now. I don't know if I showed it or not, but that's what the little connector looks like. You do have to squeeze it. It does have a little clip on it. So these things are made where they don't just pop a loose easy, so most of the connectors do fit pretty well. Make sure my button still feels okay. Plug up my battery. Go ahead and put the door on. This is a Phillips, like a number 2 Phillips screw for the battery door. Go ahead and put my T15s back in on the motor. Five screws, and we'll do the same for the right motor. And then the 5 that's in the cover. 2 in the front, the 2 in the rear back here, and then the one that's under the brush roller. Alright, so let's put this little bumper back on. That actually lined up much easier than I was anticipating. That worked very well, and this should just snap back on. Oh yeah, nice. Gonna put our 5 T8s back in the bumper. I assume those 4 sensors looking down, the 2 in the front, 2 on the sides, is for edge detection, like a stairs, etc. Any platform or elevated surface, really. It's the first one I worked on, so I don't know a whole lot about them. Oh yeah, I got to put on this little cover that goes over the charging pad. It was just two T8 screws in it. I'll fast forward through this part. Put our brush roller back in, and it does have an arrow that aligns up, makes it pretty easy. Nice. Alright, just like that, ready to put the bin in it. So here goes our dust bin. Yeah, moment of truth. Cut it on. It's going to take it a few seconds to connect to Wi-Fi. We'll fast forward, and there we go. Alright, it knows it was told to dock, and it's still trying to do that. I put this in a very, very tight spot on purpose here. I'm actually just testing my bumper switch, making sure it is backing up and sensing correctly. And Steve McLean's having a problem here, trying to find that docking station, which I do have it in a tough spot to find for it. But it's getting there, and all the bumper seems to be fine. And yeah, I think it just found its dock. Yep, absolutely. Well, that was slick. Now if I tell it to start cleaning, oh, it's asking me which power level. Okay, normal's fine. Okay, got it. Yep, all right. I'll test it out for a few minutes here before the video ends, just to make sure the bumper is working, and taking it to different areas, making sure the bumper is responding again here. I'm going to try to put it to the corner here at the bar. Yep. Like it's doing all right. So guys, again, I don't know a whole lot about these. This was the first one I've actually worked on, just trying to help a friend out, but fairly easy fix, and it really wasn't that bad to get into. I was kind of dreading it, but it really wasn't that bad. And apparently just some buildup on that switch on the contact points, as well as a little push button membrane, and all it really took was some alcohol, and I did go over it 3 times altogether. That seemed to be a really simple fix. All the wiring and connections actually were good, but it was definitely having a high ohm reading before we started cleaning it. So I hope you found the video helpful. So I'll have some links down in the video description for some helpful tools and items that I find useful on my workbench. Any of those links you click on are affiliate links, and they help support the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. So thanks so much for watching, and God bless.